Pamela Scholzvik is going to be our first storyteller. I need you guys to make a lot of noise. She's going first. It's a tough position. Come on up, Pamela. Nice to see you. Hi. Stay real close to the mic.
Fudge. My husband loves the Moth, and we just flew in from Texas, and I got him one ticket to see it, and I stood in the standby line, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll tell our story. So, spoiler alert, we're the 14-shot story. Okay. So when you're young and naive and blissfully ignorant of your own mortality, you think it's a pretty good idea to move into a formerly renovated crack house in a bad neighborhood in San Francisco. We wanted to graduate from our studio apartments where they were really expensive. It was the internet boom in San Francisco. So we thought, yeah, let's move into the Bayview, Hunters Point in San Francisco. 3-bedroom house, new paint, new carpets, faint smell of crack. We have a view of the Caltrain tunnel and a garden. It was pretty cool. We felt like adults. We were in our late 20s. And things were going good. Our landlord said, so, your new neighbor is O.J. Simpson's mom. We're like, cool. We're going to see O.J. He forgot to mention that our roommate in our garage was this guy, let's call him Bob. No real name. Bob is a racist. I know we're not supposed to go there. Drug addict. And he was renovating the apartment in the garage. And he put white nationalist symbols on our trash cans. So we were sort of assholes by association in our new neighborhood, which was predominantly black and Chinese at the time. So we lived there a couple of months. We like the neighborhood. It's kind of, the people dump trash in front of our house, but other than that, it's pretty cool. But then one night we come home. We've been drinking. We're young and driving. We're stupid. And our street's blocked off with crime scene tape. So we get to the tape, and the cop says, you're going to have to turn around. And we said, well, we live on this street. He said, what's your address? We're like, 334 Thornton. He's like, oh, come on in. We need to talk to you. We're like, uh-oh. Turns out, Bob was shot 14 times in our garage. A drug deal had gone horribly wrong. Apparently, the drug dealer was Mr. Magoo because he was shot 14 times and Bob lived. No major organs were hit. And Bob was a heroin addict, so the cops told us that saved his life because everything was kind of slowed down. So thankfully, he didn't come back to live with us. And so my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, we kind of grew up in this house. We planted flowers in our backyard. We got married. We had our first child. We painted the 3rd bedroom into a nursery. And we were loving our new life in San Francisco. And we had pretty cheap rent. Whenever anyone was paying like exorbitant amounts, we were like $1,500 and we'd got a view. But then one day happened. Our daughter was 3 months old. And there was a gang shooting in front of our house. It happened, we could see it from our beautiful view of the Caltrain tunnel. A car was the victim, and they had shot at a gang member, and it killed a mother and her 11-month-old child. And the car landed upside down on the tracks. And this hit really close to home because now we were feeling our mortality. We had this child who was completely dependent on us and, to protect her. And so we're like, we can't live here. We can't let our daughter grow up in this neighborhood. She's not going to be able to ride her bike or, sell Girl Scout cookies in the neighborhood. She might get shot. So we decided to pack up from San Francisco. This is how stupid we were. We had a map in our kitchen. We were like, well, let's go somewhere we've never lived before. And I grew up in Kansas, and he grew up in Texas. So we were like, well, how about Colorado? That seems pretty cool. So we picked a house in Colorado off the internet, and we moved there, and it ended up being an A-frame cabin, 8,500 feet on a mountain. So we had a completely different neighborhood. Our closest neighbors were the bears that resided in, and they would break into our car and occasionally try to get into our house. But that is a completely different story. Thank you.